My name is Daniel, and I never thought my life would take the kind of twisted turn it eventually did. I grew up in a modest home, worked hard to build a stable career, and believed that love was supposed to be the anchor that kept everything steady. I married Claire, a woman I thought was my soulmate, my partner, my everything. From the moment we exchanged vows, I devoted myself entirely to her, making sure she never had to feel unsupported. I worked long hours to provide us with a comfortable life, thinking that my sacrifices were investments in our happiness. But life has a cruel way of teaching lessons you never asked for, and I learned mine in the most brutal way possible. Claire worked as an executive assistant in a large corporate firm, and she often spoke about her boss, Richard. At first, it sounded harmless, stories about meetings, late deadlines, and how demanding he could be. I never thought much of it because I trusted her. Trust, after all, is the foundation of marriage, isn't it? I noticed she began working late more often, coming home exhausted but strangely energized, as if she were hiding a secret. She brushed it off whenever I asked, telling me the company was pushing hard for a new project. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? She was my wife. One evening, Claire invited me to a company party at a luxury hotel. She said it was important that I meet her colleagues, and I was happy to support her. I thought it was a chance to celebrate her success and show her that I was proud. I wore my best suit, bought her a necklace as a gift before we left, and felt proud walking beside her into that grand hall filled with executives, managers, and people dripping with wealth and confidence. That night, however, I discovered just how naive I had been. At the party, I noticed how Richard, the man I had heard so much about, hovered around Claire with a familiarity that made me uncomfortable. His hand lingered on her lower back, his smile too intimate, and her laughter, God, her laughter, was different when it was with him. I tried to push away the sinking feeling in my stomach, convincing myself that it was just workplace camaraderie. But then it happened. Right in front of me, in a crowded room filled with people, Richard leaned in and kissed my wife. And worse, she kissed him back, without hesitation, without guilt, as though I didn't even exist. My world collapsed in that instant. I stood frozen, my heart pounding, my chest burning as though I couldn't breathe. People around us noticed, some whispering, others avoiding eye contact out of discomfort. Claire finally realized I had seen everything, and her expression shifted from passion to panic. She ran toward me, trying to explain, but her words were meaningless noise. In that moment, the love I had for her died, replaced by something darker, colder, sharper. Betrayal cuts deeper than any knife, and I knew I could never forgive her. But I also knew one thing for certain: I would not let this humiliation define me. I would take back control. I would take revenge. That night, I didn't scream, I didn't hit her, I didn't throw things. I simply left. I walked out of that hotel and drove away, ignoring her desperate calls and texts. I needed clarity. I needed a plan. And when morning came, I had one. Revenge would be slow, calculated, and devastating. If she wanted Richard, she could have him, but not without consequences. The first step was to gather proof. I knew their affair wouldn't stop after what I witnessed, so I hired a private investigator. Within 2 weeks, I had pictures, videos, text messages, all the evidence I needed. Claire was not only sleeping with her boss, but she was doing it in the very company car assigned for her projects. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was humiliating. On every possible level, I compiled everything into a neat little folder, and instead of confronting her immediately, I decided to wait. Timing was everything. During that waiting period, I played the role of the oblivious husband. I cooked for her, asked about her day, even surprised her with flowers. She thought she had gotten away with everything. She smiled at me with that same lying mouth, kissed me goodnight after spending hours with him, and acted like our marriage was intact. But inside, I was already gone. I was watching, waiting, preparing. Every fake smile of hers only fueled my determination. My opportunity came when Richard's company hosted a major conference, one where investors, board members, and senior executives would all be present. Claire, of course, was in charge of many of the arrangements. I saw it as the perfect stage. With the evidence I had, I prepared a presentation, a private one, for the right audience. On the day of the conference, I arrived at the venue unnoticed. I had already arranged for the IT technician, whom I paid handsomely, to switch out one of the introductory presentations with mine. When the lights dimmed and the screens lit up, instead of slides about corporate growth and future profits, the audience saw a montage of Richard and Claire, caught in intimate moments, exchanging texts that left no room for doubt, laughing in bed together. The room fell silent. Gasps echoed. Some laughed in disbelief, others shook their heads. Richard's face turned pale as the board members turned toward him in shock and disgust. Claire sat frozen in her seat, her career and reputation shattering in front of hundreds of witnesses. I stood at the back, watching the chaos unfold. That was my revenge, public, humiliating, and irreversible. The fallout was immediate. Richard was forced to resign to avoid further scandal, and Claire was fired for misconduct. Their affair, once a secret thrill, had destroyed them both. As for me, I filed for divorce the very next day, handing over the evidence to my lawyer to ensure she couldn't contest anything. She begged me to reconsider, sobbed that she had made a mistake, promised me that she still loved me. But her love meant nothing to me anymore. Love had been poisoned the moment she kissed him in front of me. The divorce was brutal, for her. She lost not only her job but also the comfortable lifestyle I had provided. The settlement favored me because of her misconduct, and she walked away with almost nothing. Richard, disgraced and unemployed, soon abandoned her, leaving her with the ruins of a life she had gambled away. As for me, revenge tasted better than love. It wasn't just about exposing her lies, it was about reclaiming my dignity, my self-respect, and my peace. I learned that sometimes, the best way to heal isn't to forgive but to ensure that the people who hurt you feel the full weight of what they've done. Months passed, and people often asked me if I regretted the way I handled it. My answer was always the same, no. Because while Claire destroyed the love I had for her, she gave me something else in return, strength. She taught me that trust should be earned, not blindly given, and that betrayal is sometimes the greatest motivator for transformation. Today, I stand taller, stronger, and free of the chains that once held me back. I no longer mourn the marriage that died that night in the hotel. Instead, I celebrate the man I became because of it. And every time I remember her shocked face in that conference hall, I smile. Because in the end, revenge didn't just taste better than love, it tasted like justice.